Okay, fantastic. I do believe we are live. Welcome to another Eurorack Patch Lab. This is going to be a super casual hangout today. I'm going to show you what I've been up to in the last couple days with my Eurorack system. And today we're going to be patching up some dub techno from scratch in just a few minutes. I'm going to pull all the cables and we're going to just hang out and patch up some dub techno today. Let me see if I can get some volume here. All right. Let's see if I can go ahead and find the stream on my channel so that we can chat if anybody tunes in today. Cool. Looks like I'm live. It's a pretty loud groove that I've been working on this week. If anybody who's watching can tell me if the volume is okay, if you can hear my voice, if you can hear the music, or if maybe the music is so loud that it's exploding your phone. Hey, Jamie! Is sounding okay on your end? Can you hear me? I know this groove right here is a little loud. It's gonna get a little bit less hectic in a few minutes, but for now we're just gonna hang out and hear what I've been working on the last couple days. All right. Working today, hopefully. Hey, what's up, Tony? Thanks for tuning in. Just trying to get one of my modules to cooperate real quick so that we can move forward today. Just gonna have to reboot this rack real fast. Appreciate your patience as we get started today. This is just a groove that I've been working on for the last couple days. In a few minutes, we're going to pull all of the cables out of the system and we're going to casually hang out and patch up some dub techno today. I'm a little bit excited about this. I've got some chord stab samples ready to go and I've got a new module that's going to allow us to get a little bit of extra variation in the groove that we're going to be creating today. But right now I'm kind of struggling with one module trying to get it to load up a delay preset for me. So bear with me as I get that going. Thanks for your patience. There we go. All right. Cool, now we've got that delay back in the mix. Fantastic, we are go. It's a little bit distorted though for some reason. Well, that's really weird. Having another anomaly already today. It'd be really nice. This is, I think, patch lab number 5. If I can get through one of these without weirdness or anomalies. Having a little bit of trouble with the disting EX alpha module this morning, trying to get it to cooperate. If it doesn't cooperate this next time, we'll just go ahead and pass on working with that module today, and we'll go ahead and move forward with the stream. I appreciate your patience. Hey, we got 4 people tuned in already. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is a groove that I've been working on this week. And let's see, what am I doing wrong here? Something. because suddenly we're getting absolutely no volume at all over to my mixer, which really makes no sense. Oh, I turned these all off, right, because of the feedback. Okay, cool deal. Bear with me. I'm just trying to deal with this little bit of anomaly we're having with one of my modules this morning. Okay, let me try one more time. Dual mode, thank you. No weird feedback, please. Okay, so far so good. Turn this up. I think we're back in. But it's all good because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if this patch plays out super great. What matters is that we're going to be pulling all of these cables and we're going to be hanging out and patching up some dub techno from scratch today. And hopefully the system will cooperate when we start doing that. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Les. Good to see you stopping by. All right. 6 people in the chat. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Can you hear me over the music? When I turn the music up all the way and we get really loud. Up on the vocals a bit. Thanks, Tony. Check 1, check 2. The dub techno that we're going to be patching up in just a minute isn't going to be as loud and aggressive as this groove I've been working on, so my voice will probably pop over that as well. For those of you who are just joining me and maybe haven't been around for the previous Eurorack patch streams, I'm pretty new to the world of Eurorack in general, and that's why we're doing these streams at this time in my progress, so that I can kind of share the journey with you, and maybe some of you who are a little intimidated by the Eurorack system and all of these cables in general can see exactly what it takes to create a patch from scratch, and that's what we're going to be working on. And we're going to pull all of these cables at this time and begin patching up some dub techno today. What we'll do is we're going to play a little bit of music in the background so that there's something for us to keep occupied with while I'm pulling all these cables. Go ahead and press stop on my sequencer here. This is a live jam from February 21st, 2018, apparently. Quite an old live jam and a fun time on the channel. So I'm going to go ahead and play this live jam and start pulling all of these cables out. This process can be a little bit tedious sometimes. If anyone has any music related questions at all, whether they be related to Eurorack or just music production in general or iPad music production, now is a great time to ask any questions if you may have them, and I will do my best to answer any questions at all. We'll go ahead and hang out with this live jam. Hey, all right. Thanks for joining me. I don't really know how to pronounce your name, but I really appreciate everybody being here. And I'm going to go ahead and just start pulling cables at this time. Normally I take the time to be really organized about how I put the cables when I'm, pulling the cables, but we're not really going to worry about that too much during these live streams, and I'm going to get a little bit extra messy just for the sake of time. Dub Techno coming up, everybody. Hey, we got 8 people. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Try to get some of these out of the way for us. Leave that one. I'm gonna get pretty messy with these cables because there's a lot of cables to pull out today. I also try to be super careful with the cables and not pull on them too aggressively. I don't want to damage the cables themselves or the patch points of any of these modules. All right, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We've got 10 people in the chat. I hope you guys like Dub Techno because that's what I'm going to be patching up today. We are pulling all the cables and we are going to patch 100% from scratch today. Listening to an old live jam just to kind of pass the time as I pull these cables. Been doing YouTube now for just over 3 years. This is one of my earlier jams from 2018. Okay, pull up some of the strays here. Thank you for your patience as I get ready to patch today, guys. Whoops. Come on, big guy. Quite a mess of cables that I'm pulling out from that last patch. The amount of cables can sometimes get a little bit overwhelming, but it's also kind of part of the fun as well. Okay, almost ready. Okay, we're looking good. Let's plug in MIDI here and set this tempo to what we're going to work with today. Almost ready. Okay, I believe we are, in fact, ready to begin patching today. And let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and go back to my Ableton session here. For those of you who aren't real familiar with my channel, I like to keep Ableton up in the background. And I'm running a headphone out from my main mixer into my audio interface so that I can get the audio levels of what we're working with inside of Ableton. And I can look at those visually and kind of help mix and keep my frequencies in line. On the left, we've got the FabFilter Pro Q3, which is my preferred EQ plugin. And on the right, we have the Isotope Tonal Balance Control plugin, which allows me to kind of keep my highs and low frequencies in check when I'm working on the headphones. Okay, let's see here. We've got 12 people as we start off today. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. I'm trying to keep these sessions super low key and super casual. I'm not a Eurorack, aficionado or expert at this time. So we kind of go slow and we kind of take it step by step. And I kind of explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it so that you guys can learn as well. Let me take one moment here and kind of reset a few of these knobs on my mixer here now that I've pulled all the cables. Okay, and what we're going to do today is we're going to start with a chord stab. And I've picked out 4 different chord stabs from my Devious Dub Techno sample pack. And I've loaded those into the 4 sample slots in the Squarp Rample sample player module. And what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to get some pretty complex, like dub techno chord stuff happening, and then maybe put some drums underneath that. And we're going to start today by triggering a chord sample. And what we'll do is we'll take a trigger from the Poly-Int Poly2 module, which is connected to my Digitact. My Digitact is running, pretty much clock and a lot of the sequences of my system. I'm really in love with the Digitact, and that was something that I really wanted to do when building a Eurorack modular, was be able to integrate this as not only a way to add extra samples and sounds, but also as a way to sequence some of the things in the rack, and also to be able to send like CV information out. Let's see, we're going to need a fairly long cable to get started, and we're going to just take the very first trigger output of the Poly 2, and we're going to run that into the Squarp Rample so that we can start actually hearing the chord stab. We'll need a way to get audio out of the Rample, and what we're going to do today is we're going to go outside of the box. We're going to use my Collision Devices Black Hole Symmetry delay pedal to try to get some really interesting delay happening. I'm a little short of breath this morning. I always get nervous as we start these streams. Hey, thanks for joining me, Wall. We're wearing the same shirt. All right, go Audio Kit. What we're going to do is we're going to take, let's see here. We need a way to get, I'm going to go slow here so that I can kind of explain what I'm doing. We need a way to get the Rample to talk to this pedal so that we can use the delay and the reverb in this pedal. So we're going to take, I'll do this, I'm kind of out of sequence with the steps here. So we'll take an output from the volume of the Rample into the Strymon AA1 module, which allows me to send audio outside the case. Let's get a little bit longer one. Okay, so we'll take a main output of the Rample today. I'm going to combine all 4 stabs through one output, and we're going to run that output into the stereo. Let's see here. Left in. This is for the out. Great. So I'm going to, now I can, okay, the Strymon Rample, the Strymon AA1 allows you to, let's see, left out, take a signal out of the case and hook it up to like a guitar pedal or something. So we're going to take the input here. Okay. And take the output and run this back into the case. Whoops, I'm running that one backwards. Back into the case, stereo in. We're going to run this in mono today because it's a mono pedal. But the goal is to get our chord stabs sent out of the case and through this pedal so that we can get a lot of extra delay and be able to kind of tweak and play with that delay in real time. So next, we need a way to hear the signal as it comes back into the case. That's pretty simple to do. We'll take a left into left. Let's go over here. And we'll take right into the right. Okay. We've got these levels all up today, and those are already panned. Okay, let's see here. Okay, fantastic. We've got some level. Let's get, I want more level control today. So let's route this a little bit differently. Bear with me for just 1 second. all I'm going to do is just route this a little differently so that I can get a little bit more control over the volume of this sound. Stereo in. Cool. In and in. Actually, yeah, that is good. And we'll go out and out. This is left and this is right. Again, bear with me. I'm just trying to make it so we can get a little bit more volume on those chords. Let's try now. Absolutely fantastic. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I've got is I've got these 4 dubstep samples for us to work with. You can hear there's a little bit of reverb and a little bit of delay already on this one. Quite a bit of reverb on the second one. Little bit of delay and a lot of reverb on the third one. And there's quite a bit of built-in delay and reverb on that fourth one. Okay, fantastic. What we're going to do is we're going to use a brand new module that I've just got in this week. It's the Branches module from Mutable Instruments. And what this allows us to do, I hope this works out today. What this allows us to do is it allows me to put a trigger signal into the module. The module will do kind of like a virtual coin toss. And if the coin comes up heads, it will send the trigger out of the A output. If the virtual coin toss comes up tails, it will send the trigger signal out of the B output. So it's a way for us to get 2 different chord stabs randomly happening with the same trigger signal. We're going to try to make that happen. And to do that, I'm just going to change where I'm routing a few things here. We're going to send our signal from the Digitact, which we haven't created yet, into the Branches module. And then now, let's see, we're going to use what track for this? May as well use this one. And there we go. In fact, I'm already set up to send it to that first chord stab. Whenever I, send a trigger from the Digitact. But we have more than one sample that we want to attempt to trigger in the rample. So if I take this gate and run this over here to the second output of Branches and put the knob in the middle so that it will actually coin toss. Now, when here we go. Now when I hit this trigger, it should flip that coin, and we don't know which of the 2 chord stabs it will trigger. Right now I've got it directly in the middle, so it's kind of scrolling back and forth between them. Now I just picked the left one again. This is exactly what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to be able to use one trigger signal from the Digitact, and that will randomly trigger 2 different chord stabs. And that's how we're going to get started today. Let's go ahead and get like a 4 on the floor kick drum going so that we've got some sort of a rhythm to put these chords over. 13 people in the chat. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. We don't see your patch. Yeah, I'm going to try to get a little bit closer as I'm doing the patching. This might help a little bit. I know that my stuff is kind of, spread out over the desk, and that makes it, fix this chord here, and that makes it a little bit more difficult to see. I'm working on some solutions to try to get everything maybe a little bit closer to the center to make these a little bit easier. So if we want to go ahead and get a kick drum going, we can take, we can go maybe another one of these really long chords again. We can take an output from the second trigger output of the Digitact, and we can run that into the trigger input of a kick drum module, and then I can route this. What I've got is I've got the Blue Lantern's Assist module, which allows you to turn any oscillator into a kick drum. And we're going to go ahead and turn the Hysteria oscillator module from Dreadbox into an awesome kick drum. Let's see if I can out. So we'll need a way to hear this back. out from this module to the input of our mixer. Let's see here. Envelope to the volt per octave in. Got a little pop thing here. Put that so. I believe we just need one more to get the audio from the module to talk to audio in. Almost. What am I doing wrong there? Because of the decay, is that it? Hold on one sec. No. Well, it's triggering it though, but why are we getting that whole sustain? I don't understand. I'm getting some serious anomalies in my system this morning. It's always a little bit different. Difficult doing these patch labs because I'll get a patch going during the week, and then there'll be like a period of a few days, where I'm not, patching from scratch. And then so we get on the live stream, and here I am patching from scratch again, and anomalies start popping up. Let's see. Sorry about that, everyone. What we'll do then is I like to be able to just kind of sort of refocus on these live streams if we need to, and that's what we'll do today. I was going to use this setup for the kick drum, but because it's being a little bit weird, we'll just rethink that, and we'll figure out something else to use for the kick drum. What we'll do is we'll take a kick drum sample then out of, I don't believe I've got kicks in here. Right, just for a second. Okay, so what that leaves us with is taking a kick drum from the Digitact. And how we can do that is I've got the outputs from the Digitact coming into a cable over here, and I can route that cable into another Strymon AA1 module, allowing me to get audio from outside the case into the case. So this is our Digitact signal now, and then we just need a way to get this talking to the mixer. So if we're not going to use this as a kick drum, I'll go ahead and we're not going to use this either. Okay, no worries. We'll go ahead and, let's see, it's going to be too short. Here we go. Left. Actually, what I'll do, go left and right. I'm just getting a way that we can get the volume from the Digitact into the mixer of the Eurorack now, and that should have done it. And so what I'm not prepared for this at all, but we'll go ahead and try to load a kick drum here. I've got my sound banks for the Digitact loaded and ready to go. For those of you who don't know, I make sound banks for the Digitact. I've got 7 of those, and this first one is just 128 kick drum samples. So it should be pretty easy for us to get a kick drum going. Hopefully. Let's see here. Cool. Let's see more. Let's see if I can, do this in real time. That's kind of cool. We'll just use that one, I think. Yeah, let's see here. Just put a 4 on the floor in here. Doing this with my left hand, excuse me. Okay. Now we've got ourselves a kick drum. Let's pick a different one. That's pretty big for Dub Techno right there. Ooh, that's nice. Perfect for Dub Techno. Okay, fantastic. So I was going to get a kick from the system. We had some anomalies. We just moved forward with that. And now we've got a kick drum coming out of the Electron Digitact. Kind of a mellow kick drum happening here. And so that will give us some sort of a rhythm that we can get these chord samples happening over. Cool, we'll be adjusting some levels in just a minute. I'll go ahead and just record in real time me hitting this here. Quantized. 2, 3, and 1. Cool. All right. Let's see here. 1. Cool deal. Let's go ahead and work the rhythm a little bit so that we have something to wrap these chords around. And what let's do is let's go ahead and take a Euclidean sequencer and use that to sequence some hi-hats. We'll need a clock from our main clock. We'll need a clock signal. I'm gonna actually reroute this real fast here. There we go. And so main clock signal into a multi. That way I can send our clock signal out to lots of different devices in the case. We also need a way to send a downbeat signal, a reset signal to all of the modules in the case. And I have that set up already to come out here, and I'll plug that into a multiple, as well. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, this one here. Right, and let's just... Now I've got a start and stop signal and a clock signal that I can send out all over the case to other modules in the case. And what we'll do, let's see here, is we'll send that signal to a Euclidean sequencer. We got our clock signal here, and we'll get our reset signal. Reset, and then I'll reset the clock. And our sequencer is lighting up and sending out some, note information. I'm going to plug that into the input of our hi-hat module. This is a hi-hat module from 2HP, just a really thin little module over here. Doesn't take up much space, but it really will allow me to do a lot of modulation with the sound. Check this out. We need a way to hear this hi-hat. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and start getting some reverb into our mix. And let's route this hi-hat through some reverb. The reverb that I'm using right now is the Desmodus Versio module from Noise Engineering. It's a fantastic reverb module. Let's go ahead and route that out to the here. Okay, fantastic. We just need a way to route. I have a little mixer that I keep next to the reverb module, and that allows me to route multiple different things through the reverb. So we'll go ahead and route this mixer into the reverb, and then we just need a way to route the reverb into the main mixer. So we could probably use these. So we got a left out. And a right out. And I'll pan these tracks left and right. Okay. We should be. Oh, I gotta just turn this up as well. Here we go. Okay, this is the hi-hat module. Whatever rhythm just happened to be in the module here is coming through on the hi-hat. It sounds pretty cool. Let's get an evolving hi-hat pattern to start happening over this, shall we? Turn the amount of reverb down, so we're just getting a tiny little bit on this to begin with. And what let's do is let's see if we can get the hi-hats to create a pattern that sort of breathes and moves around a bit. See here. We're going to take the Euclidean sequencer, and we're going to take the steps of that down to 0, and now it's just going to hit on every 16th note. But I got a tip from another YouTuber who's Mylar Melodies, who's talking about how you can get some variation in your sequence using a Euclidean sequencer, and we're going to try to pull that off. We're going to see if we can't run a CV input to the amount of steps, no, rather to the length of this pattern. We're going to run that from a sample and hold module from DivKid to DivKid random step. Give that our clock signal. And what we'll do is see if the, yep, right off the jump, listen real close to what the hi-hats are doing. And it's evolving now and changing. That is fantastic. Mylar Melodies. If you're into Eurorack, absolutely give that channel a sub. Hey, we got 13 people hanging out. Thanks, guys. Hey, thanks for joining me, Matthias. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'll just call you Matt. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's get a little bit more modulation and variation happening inside of these hi-hats before we move forward a little bit. I'm going to take an output from an unsynced LFO, and I'm going to run that into an attenuator module so that we have full control over how much of this LFO we're going to send to our hi-hat module. And we're going to run this into the decay input of our hi-hat module and get some variation happening on the decay of that hi-hat so that it's moving a little bit in real time. I'm going to turn up the reverb a little bit. Fantastic. So now we're starting to get a little bit of life in the groove, and I haven't really done much at all. We've got a kick drum that's coming out of the Electron Digitact. We've got some chord samples that are being variated between two different samples randomly, using the branches module from Mutable Instruments. You got this hi-hat starting to move here. Let's get some more chords into the mix. Again, I'm using the Squarp Rample sample playback module to house these samples today, and it has 4 chord stabs in it. My goal is to see if we can get all 4 of these chord stabs kind of rotating and happening in real time, just sort of evolving. Okay, so we need... I'm going to trigger the second input on the branches module using the Digitact again. And this is going to be note 2. Fantastic. Okay, so let's see here. Where's those hats at? Here they are. What I've got now is we've got all 4 of these chord samples patched up to the Mutable Instruments branches. So when I trigger the second, we scroll randomly between those 2 different chord stabs now. Let me play the groove and I'll just insert another trigger to get those second ones happening. 2, 3, 4. And what this is going to do now, even without me touching anything, this is going to randomly now be scrolling between these 4 chord samples. Absolutely, that's what I'm talking about. What I'm going to do is turn the reverb way down over here, and we're going to see if we can get some delay happening from the pedal. I'm running the rample out of the system through this Strymon AA1 module and into the pedal. Let's see if we can get some. Yep, we're getting it. It's not synced up, so I'll just kind of try to get it sounding good manually. Get those hi-hats back so I can deal with that rhythm. Slower. Listen really close and you'll hear how the chord samples are not triggering the same each time. It's different and evolving the whole time. And that's really what I'm looking for here. Just trying to get the delay synced a little bit. That's pretty close. This pedal also has a little bit of a reverb in it. I'm going to try to get that going at this time. That's sounding pretty good. Okay, we'll go ahead and call that for now. Bring these hats down a little and maybe make them a little bit tighter sounding and less. There we go. Now I'm using the reverb from the Desmodus Versio on these hats to kind of put them in the same sort of acoustic sounding space as these big chord stabs. Maybe we'll bring them down in the mix a bit. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a groove happening here. Let's see what we can do. We want to get maybe like a bass sound happening here. And maybe we'll try to accomplish that with the braids module today because I'm not real familiar with using it. What let's do first is try to tune this module by literally just taking an output from the module and running that into the Nordax data here, which has a tuner function. No, it doesn't want to. Maybe not sure why that's not working today. That's worked for me in the past before. Because I'm not sending a note yet. No worries. Okay. So let's do just that. We'll send a note out using the Digitact again. There we go. Volt per octave in, and that's the third one out, right? Just check that. Channel 1. It should be coming out here, but we're not. Oh, yes, we are. Okay, fantastic. If I can just get this tuned to a C, we can move forward. G sharp, almost. There we go. Really close now. Oh, wait a minute. I see I'm like a couple octaves down. Well, let's just tune that by ear then. See if we can make that happen. Let's go ahead and run this into the mixer here for now. I'm way off on the octaves here. Oh, it's doing that weird thing. Okay, well, that's an anomaly. We're going to have to pass on that. Let's see here. Where can we get ourselves a bass line today from then with what I've got going? Let me move the camera a little bit. I've decided we'd maybe try some extra stuff today. So I've got the Micro Monster from Audio Thingies out. And let's see if we can... Oh, no, I don't have an extra input because we ran the kick drum. Okay, that's anomaly number 3. I think we're going for a record today with the amount of hiccups in my plan. Let's see then. Definitely want to see if we can get some sort of a bass groove happening here. So what let's do is let's go ahead and send our clock signal over to the second case over here. We got our clock signal there. We got 15 people tuned in. Hey, thanks for tuning in on my big anomaly day, everyone. Everything's giving me a hard time today. Okay. So, we're going to run... Okay, we've got our clock signal. We're going to run that out into a sequencer. Clock in. Cool. Now we just need a reset signal so that our sequencer will know when the downbeat is, along with the rest of our modules. So I'll take it out from my multiple that has our start and stop signal, and we'll run that over here into the second case, and then we'll run that start and stop signal into my sequencer, to the reset, and then I'll start and stop here. 1, 2. Fantastic. Now we've got an 8-step sequencer that's happening in time with our beat here. And what I'll do is, since the Platts module from Mutable Instruments is kind of right next to this, we're going to use that as our module and try to create some sort of a bass. We'll take an output from here into a quantizer so we can keep in key today. We're going to be writing in F minor. All these chords are in our F minor chords, so we're going to be trying to get our bass line to match up with this now. We'll see if we can get that to happen. Love this sound. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Steven. I appreciate that. I love the dub, and definitely one of the things that's interesting me in working in Eurorack is trying to create some, really cool, evolving dub techno kind of grooves. This is the first time today I'm using the branches module from Mutable Instruments, getting us to have some randomization in the way the chords are triggering back. Okay. I need a trigger to trigger that as well. And bear with me as I think this through. Kind of had to reorganize my plan a few times today. Get another sequencer going. Okay, I'm going to get another sequencer going. So first thing we'll need is just our clock signal over there. Cool, and then we got another sequencer going. This is the Mazatron Golden Shower sequencer. I'm going to be using this to trigger our bassline pattern. Output. Cool. And then, okay, so we've got it triggered there. We're almost to bass sound, you guys. Just bear with me. We're going to take an output here into the volt per octave end of the Platts module, and that should be getting us bass. All we need to do now is route that volume over to a mixer. So we'll take an out here and route this into, oops, turn the volume down a little bit. Maybe put this here. How about that? Cool. And we are, in fact, in key. Doesn't sound like it's the best bass line ever, but we're in key. Let me just tune this module again. I had it in tune and then I messed with it just a little bit enough to get it out of tune, but we can probably fix that real quick. If I just get this back to a C. Yeah, really close, almost. There we go, let's try that. Oh, I had it on 2 here. Okay, but we're an octave too high. Can I do this? That's kind of cool. Kind of a little bit lower frequency sounding. Yeah, let's keep it down nice and low. That's kind of underground and chilled, right? Maybe we could even run that through a filter and remove even more of the high frequency content so that it's acting more as a low frequency bass. Typically, I might try to drop the octave on something like that, but I don't exactly know how I would do that. And rather than, take the time and figure that out, we'll just move forward for now. So what let's do is let's run that through a filter real fast. Gonna need one of these here so that we can remove just a few more of the high frequencies from this sound. Cool. I'm running it into the quad cutoff from Mazatron, which is 4 individual low-pass filters. They're really tame, mellow low-pass filters. They're at a 6 slope per octave, 6 decibels per octave slope. But there we go. I can take all the rest of the high frequencies off that sound and just kind of bury it back there, humming along in the background for us. So now we've got a kick, kind of a bass, more of like a mid-synth sound or whatever, but something to keep our groove, evolving and moving. Let's get a little bit more movement on the hi-hat sound that we've got going by taking a sample and hold signal out of the DivKid random step module. We've already got this in sync with our groove. We're going to run that into an attenuator so that I can control exactly the amount of modulation that we're going to send to those hi-hats. Okay. I'm going to solo the hats here so that you can hear what we're doing. We've already got some movement on the hats. I'm using a Euclidean sequencer to sequence the hats. But now we're using an LFO to get a little bit of modulation on the delay of these hats, and we're getting a little bit of extra modulation happening on what they're considering the sizzle effect. Cool. And we've got even just that much more movement in the hi-hats. You can maybe bring a little bit more reverb up on the Desmodas Versio. Maybe we automate some of this movement on the reverb module itself. We can take an LFO that's not synced to tempo, and I can run that into the blend, directly into the blend. If I don't attenuate it, it will take the blend, which is the dry-wet mix of the reverb, all the way down to dry, and then all the way up to pretty wet again, like full wet. So we're definitely going to want to attenuate that signal and make it not as dramatic. But basically now we're just messing with the dry wet of this reverb with a nice slow LFO so that the reverb itself is now changing what it's doing in the background. Yeah, fantastic. That's cool. Giving us just yet another bit of actual movement as the groove just kind of plays out. Maybe less than that. We'll just sort of adjust that as it plays. Make sure we're not getting too much movement. Let's go ahead and add a clap at this time. I've got the Tip Top Audio 1 sample module here, and we'll plug in an output from my Digitakt MIDI over to that module so I can send a signal, a trigger signal. We just need a way to get that into the mixer now. Let's go ahead and run the clap through the reverb. So I'll run it into the mixer that's going into the reverb, and we'll pick a clap sound to use. I'll go ahead and, let's see here, this is coming out of the third one. Cool, we can go ahead and just put that right in then. So the Digitakt is sequencing the clap now. And I can choose, whatever clap, scroll through some different samples for claps. Pick one that we really like. That's kind of nice. I can bring that back a little. kind of help with that groove a little. Hey, thanks, Jamie. Thanks for sticking around, guys. 13 people in the chat. All right, I appreciate you being here. I'm trying to keep these Eurorack patch labs super casual. You can see I'm having all sorts of anomalies and stuff as I learn the gear and as I learn, you know, how to use the gear better, hopefully a little bit each time. I think it's really important, these kind of videos, because this stuff is really intimidating for beginners. And being a beginner myself, I think it's really good to show the process. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of modulation happening on the sound of this clap. Let's take a sample and hold signal and run it into the pitch of this clap, which I can put a CV signal to. There we go. The clap is now shifting pitch. Let me bring some things out of the mix so you can hear that a little better. Very subtle, but the clap is now changing in pitch. And it's those little bits of subtle movement, especially with genres like dub techno, that really go a long way in keeping that interest in the sound. I have another tip-top audio 1 module next to that, and I've got some more chord stabs happening in that module. I wonder if we could add yet another chord stab and get 5 stabs total happening in this groove, kind of evolving and bouncing around each other. Let's see if we can make that happen. I'm going to take a signal from the poly in to poly 2, which again is how I'm getting MIDI from the Digitact into the system. And I'm going to attempt to trigger some chords with it. It's coming out of 4. Need a way to hear that back now. More chords, so we'll run this into the mixer before the reverb so that these chords go through the reverb. Cool, we're hearing it already. It might be a little bit difficult to get these keys right, but we'll see what we can do. Put that in on the downbeat. And then we can do some scrolling. I don't think that's the one. Let's keep going. Ooh. Nope, not quite. Kind of like that one. Let's see what that happens. Let's run that through a lot of the reverb as well. Oh, we are already? Okay. Yeah, let's leave that one in on the downbeat. I like that. This isn't exactly what I had in mind, groove-wise. We had some anomalies that I had to fix. That bass line is kind of sticking in my craw. It's not quite what I had in mind. But again, I really think that these early sessions, as I'm learning the modules and maybe dealing with the anomalies in real time, is such an important thing to show so that others can see what I'm doing and maybe learn from it as well. And see that it's not quite as intimidating as a lot of people might think. One of the things that kept me from getting further into Eurorack for a long time was when I would watch other people using modular and using Eurorack, and their choice of modules and like maybe some of the music they were creating just wasn't really like speaking to me per se. And the thing that really changed things a lot for me was when I made a conscious decision that if I was to, go down this rabbit hole, what modules spoke to me as a producer and, you know, as a musician, and not what I was seeing other people using. And I started just doing my research, you know, and picking out modules that, you know, spoke to me personally, and building, you know, some sort of a system that would allow me to do what I was hoping to do. So here we have quite a bit of movement. That's just, I mean, I'm not even touching any knobs here, and the groove is just kind of kicking along. The bonus of using the Digitact in this fashion is that I can also bring in extra sounds from the Digitact at any time. So if we want to, say, maybe add a ride cymbal to this groove, I can see if I've got one in this bank currently. I do have one. What does it sound like? Maybe we can get some volume up on that. Put some reverb on that from the Digitact. Maybe too much delay there. Let me go ahead and hit record, and I'll just punch in like a ride pattern. Cool, bring that down in the mix a little. And it's the combination of having some things that are being sequenced from the Digitact and some things that are being sequenced from the case that I find super interesting. If I press stop on the Digitact, the clock signal is still coming through the case. So you can still hear the things that are being sequenced from sequencers inside of the case. Because as long as they're getting clock signal, they don't start or stop. So we're still hearing the sequencer running, and we're still hearing the Euclidean sequencer triggering those hi-hats. And when I press play on the Digitact, it'll start up all those sounds that are being sequenced from the Digitact, which is the chords, the ride, and the kick drum. Polyphase as a random generator. I don't know that, but I appreciate you bringing that up, Steven, because that sounds like something that I should know about. Polyphase as a random generator for iOS. I'll be checking into that after the live stream. Thank you. Let's see here. So back to that point about how I'm triggering things. In this case, you know, being as though we're triggering about half the groove out of the Digitact, we could create a second pattern in the Digitact that had variations, maybe had the kick drum muted, or maybe had the kick drum doing a different pattern than 4 on the floor, for instance. So we could, let's see here. This is it's hard to do this with my left hand while I'm, you know, not pattern 1, copy, pattern 2, paste. Okay, fantastic. So we can just paste the same pattern into a different pattern, right? And then I can easily just, you know, make a variation there on the kick drum, right? Maybe it's not doing a 4 on the floor pattern. Maybe it's doing this kind of a pattern. Okay, here how the kick drum is changed now. And then at any time, I could go back to that 4 on the floor pattern by just changing patterns. Here we're back to the 4 on the floor kick drum again. You could change to pattern 2. 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2. Here we go. Okay, so we could maybe on the pattern 2, we could maybe take out the ride. So when, pattern 2 happens, now we've got a change in the kick drum rhythm, but also the ride stops. Having these ways to, create things starting and stopping in real time is definitely a challenge inside of Eurorack itself, and that's definitely one of the reasons why I'm choosing to use the Digitact in this way, is so that I can, create some patterns and some changes and whatnot that will happen as I change patterns inside of the Digitact. And then at any time we could just change patterns again. 2, 3, 4. I don't really think there's a lot more that we can do with this groove today, the way that I've got things set up. I had a couple of anomalies that stopped me from using a few of the modules in the way that I was hoping to use them. But I definitely appreciate everyone tuning in today, and I'm definitely going to keep doing these Eurorack patch labs every Sunday. We're going to be keeping these super casual and having just a good time and hanging out. Give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions that might be music related at all, if anybody's got any. Ooh, someone's mentioning left field. Thank you. That's a compliment in the highest. Thank you very much. I think the takeaway here today is the evolution in the sounds. I want to reiterate that I'm using the Mutable Instruments Branches module to vary these chord stabs, and that every time we trigger a chord stab, it basically flips a virtual coin, and if it comes up a heads, it sends a trigger signal out one output. If it comes up tails, it sends the trigger output through its second output. And I'm doing that twice with 4 chord samples. So in the background, our chords are just evolving and changing, even though they're built on samples, which are static and not moving. Let's see, where am I getting those back in here? We're running those chords out of the case and into this pedal. Yes, the delay is analog. The delay is for those of you just tuning in, the delay is the Collision Devices Black Hole Symmetry. It has a really nasty distortion saturation knob in the middle, and it also has reverb and delay, and it is just a super fun pedal to play with in real time. You can turn the feedback up and just get, let me bring these things down. And really get that, we're going to break it up kind of feel. It is a mono pedal. It would be so fantastic if it was a stereo pedal, but it is just a mono pedal. I find that, kind of a letdown, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a deal because the sampler module that I'm using, the Squarp Rample, is a mono sampler as well. So it's spitting out mono samples. I'm running those out of the case through the Strymon AA1 module into the collision devices and then back through the Strymon AA1 into the mixer. We could do all sorts of different stuff with this groove. We could run those chords through a filter, and we could have that filter moving and changing in real time. That would be really cool. Hey, what's happening, Ed? Thanks for tuning in. I think we're going to go ahead and call it today. I don't really know what else to add to the patch at this time based on the tools that I've kind of put together for this live session. I really appreciate everyone tuning in, and I'm going to keep doing these Eurorack live patch jams every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm really waiting for the one that's going to be an anomaly-free episode, but as I'm a beginner with the Eurorack, so far we've had anomalies in every single one of these. I think that's kind of important too, so you can see that we can just, move forward and go a different route as well. Most people don't typically, patch in real time. Usually take the time to, kind of patch on their own and then just show the music. But that's exactly why I'm doing these sessions and patching in real time. Hey, thanks for tuning in, bro. We got a new Tricks to Synth guy in the house. All right. There's always next week at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm really going to try to make this a regular weekly hangout. We're going to be patching up different stuff every week. You guys know I love the dub, but I'm not going to do dub techno every week. Last week we did something, quite a bit different than this. I had some plans to get the Micro Monster from Audio Thingies in the mix, but that didn't kind of work out because we had the anomaly with the kick drum, so I'm using my spare input to the case, so I wasn't able to get that going. But I do appreciate everyone being here for the little creation of this groove today. And we're definitely going to go ahead and call it until next week. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks, guys.